That's the plan. All right, folks, I'm getting word that I am live. It is time for some G-Saviour on License-a-thon. This is a Gundam game. This is the first Gundam game for the PlayStation 2. Hello, hello. This is actually a special occasion. So I was in the first License-a-thon, and what was really special about that was that I did a Gundam game for that event. I did Mobile Suit Gundam Journey to Jaburo, also a PS2 game. So this is kind of coming back to my roots with License-a-thon, getting a chance to show off a Gundam game. We're going to go ahead and get into it. Time will start when I hit new game. So I'm going to go back to the menu here. And we got our options set. We're going to be doing this any percent run on easy. We got our auto load, auto save off, which is important because we don't want to spend time auto saving between every level. And we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so again, I mentioned this is a Gundam game. This was a licensed tie-in game. This was launched in Japan before the PlayStation 2 launched in other regions. So this is like a summer 2000 PS2 game tied in with the G-Saviour movie. G-Saviour was a live-action Gundam movie released around 99, 2000. And the movie is very much, if you like 90s sci-fi TV, you know, think like X-Files or Stargate, that kind of thing. This is, you know, you would like G-Saviour. Obviously, if you don't like those things, then it's not for you. As I said, this is an early PS2 game. They're still figuring out 3D. So this game is a very unique style of movement. We have a few things that we're going to be doing. One of the things I'm going to be doing, or especially for the first 4 stages, is managing my hover bar. That's that top bar, that light blue bar. That light blue bar is this resource where I go into hover mode and I move forward faster. I sort of strafe. I say sort of strafe because it's not pure strafing. I do slightly turn. But what we're going to do is, especially when we use regular G-Saviour. So we're starting the game with base G-Saviour. This is the G-Saviour that you would see if you watched the movie. This game, plot-wise, is set after the movie. So this is actually like the furthest forward in the Universal Century timeline that there is. This is like UC. Oh God, what is it? It's like 154 maybe, or no, it's like 224. 154 is like whatchamacallit, Victory Gundam, I think. But anyway, it's very far in the future, and we're gonna get upgrades too. So this right now, this suit is like kind of slow. It's got a real small hover bar. The weapon is kind of weak. We're gonna get upgrades later. So right now, we just have to make the best with our resources. You notice my pattern is that I use up the hover bar. I get out of hover before the hover bar depletes because it would take longer to recharge if I let it completely empty. But other than that, I use 2 hops. You can do the hops. They don't cost meter. And then I try and shoot some of these guys. Right now, our weapon doesn't give us any backwards knock. So we're able to just sort of work through it and not deal. That'll be different for a later suit. Let's talk about the shield. So I have this yellow bar. That's my shield meter. The yellow bar, it only depletes when you take hits from the front. And if I release it, so you can see I'm putting it up and down. Whenever I release it, it immediately starts replenishing. And it replenishes really quick. So it's not going to come up too much on this run. There are other challenge runs that you can do, like completing the whole game with base G-Saviour on hard, where managing your shield is like, you know, it's a matter of whether or not you can complete the game. But thankfully with this, mostly we're going to be able to get away without having to do too much shield replenishment. We're almost through the first level. All these levels are going to feel like rail shooters, even though they technically aren't. Like I can turn around. When I'm not in a hover mode, I am actually able to, if I go left or right, instead of strafing left or right, I would turn left or right when not in hover. That's not going to be an issue too much though. We're going to be kind of always in the hover mode. So the first boss has no, the first boss doesn't block, and we were able to just keep him in hit stun pretty much the entire time. This guy's, yeah, he's not too smart. So A note, I'm not getting too close to him though, because if I get close to him, you will enter into contextual melee. When you get close to a unit, you do enter melee. That's not going to come up too much during this run. There's going to be one part where I'm going to try and use melee, but we'll get there when we get there. We're not going to be too fussed about that. That was the first stage. Well done. I should know, if you're an English-speaking Gundam fan, you're like, oh, hey, could I play this game? The answer is absolutely. All of the gameplay-related text is in English, and the only text that is in Japanese is character dialogue, and all the character dialogue is voiced in English. So you won't miss anything. You can basically just play this game, and you'll have a good time. I recommend it, especially if you do like G-Saviour. It's not too related plot-wise to... I mean, it's nominally related, really, but it's still a fun game. But actually, here I believe this is supposed to be the ruins of Operation British. This is the ruins of the space colony that they drop on Sydney, Australia in First Gundam. That's just apparently been sitting here for like 150 years. Interestingly enough, this game has way more references to older Gundam stuff than the movie does. The movie, they kind of avoid saying Gundam, but here there's a lot of cute references that we're gonna be passing by. This location being one of them. There's also, I think there is a Zagak that just is hanging out on this stage. I want to see if I can go swing by it. I think we missed it. We'll actually come back to this level. This level repeats, but a little busier. Again, we gotta make sure we manage our hover. And also, you know, since this is a marathon run, I'm going to be definitely going out of my way to destroy some enemies in the interest of safety. The biggest risk is from getting shot in the back. The shield only works for enemies in the front. So it's the shield. The shield is good when we approach, but in the interest of safety, we want to leave the enemies in our dust dead. You can see there, I took the shots from the enemy, but they only depleted my yellow bar. That red bar is health. Right now, the enemies don't do too much damage. There definitely will be a substantial risk of death in later stages, though. One strat that we can do that's kind of a risky strat is that when we go near enemies, you can see I got shot in the back and knocked me out of hover. Real bad time. When I go near enemies... Oh, there we go. I wasn't paying attention to my hover bar. This is what happens when you fully deplete your hover bar, which is that you do get... you have to wait for longer for it to recharge. As I was saying, there's a strat where you can fly near enemies to bait them into pulling at their melee so they don't shoot you in the back. Risky strat, but worth it sometimes. I'm gonna take a death here intentionally because it's a scripted death. You're supposed to lose this encounter. Nice. All right, so obviously the regular G-Saviour is not cutting it anymore. So now we get the G3 Savior, the G3 Savior. This is a huge upgrade. Better weapons. It's going to be way faster. This is where the game really starts to speed up. Also, we get another jamming tune. But yeah, you can see this guy's already way faster, has a bigger hover bar, a bigger health bar, a bigger shield bar, a better rate of fire, bigger projectiles. Just very cool. Very cool. Also, just sick design. All of the mobile suits in G-Saviour the movie, as well as the game, were done by Kunio Okawara, who of course is the original mechanical designer of Gundam, of Mobile Suit Gundam. I say all the mobile suits. There is like one mech in the movie who was done by a different artist that was working with the CG studio, the Underworld, the Guppy. Also a cool design, but didn't do any fighting. And any robot that saw combat in G-Saviour was, I think, done by Okawara. This series, why I say series, I mean the G-Saviour game was done by, obviously published by Sunrise and Bandai, but was developed by a company, a developer called Atelier Sai, who was really more of a toy maker than a video game developer, but they did make a few video games. There was a series of games called the G-Breaker series, not related to Gundam, but I think one of them plays similar to this. I haven't played them yet myself, but there's like 2 strategy games and an action game, which I definitely plan to check out at some point, because I don't know, I enjoy playing this game. So it's got good tunes. I should note the composer of the soundtrack for this game is now like a Bandai executive, which is very funny. I don't know how that happened, but good note to include. All right, we got another boss fight. This guy, though, is kind of similar to the first boss in that we want to keep our distance and shoot him. The thing I'm going to be doing is angling myself so that I kind of shoot him. He's going to sometimes try to turn out of the stun lock, and I want to make sure that he can't. So I'm just going to slowly walk towards him, shooting and trying to keep the direction of the shots in the direction that he's trying to turn. And so that way I should be able to stun lock him to death. He might get out. He might go to the left here, which is not the end of the world, but, you know, I might lose a few seconds, which is obviously upsetting. Yeah, see, if you give him enough time, he'll dodge. He gets 1 dodge in there. The bosses will get more interesting, I promise. It's just that they let you stun lock these early ones, so, like, of course you do that. In this stage, they allow you to use a different mech. They give you the intensive attack, but the intensive attack kind of is a slow boy. He's got big guns, but he's kind of slow. So we're going to go ahead and switch back to the base G-Third Savior, because the G-Third Savior, we got a level to go through. We gotta go fast. There's no, we can't not go fast. And the other guy has a smaller hover bar, and he does not go as fast. So we gotta go. We gotta go. This is Neo Tokyo. Shout outs to iterations of Neo Tokyo. I was just watching Gunbuster the past few weeks, and Gunbuster also has a sick Neo Tokyo. Snatcher has a sick Neo Tokyo. They always be making new Tokyos, and they're always kind of cool. You love to see it. I took a risk there where I thought I'd be able to jump past the explosions. That one particular turret has missiles that it drops, and the explosion hitboxes, this is like one of those early 3D games where explosion hitboxes tend to persist in like a really weird way, where they just like hang out there for like a full second. All right, that was risky. I really thought I was going to get shot in the back there, but we're fine. We're all fine here. How are you? This is where they start upping the number of enemies in the game. So there are 3 difficulties: easy, normal, hard. The main difference isn't so much like the amount of damage that enemies do or take, but the main difference is really like number of enemies. So there, I just decided to leap into a guy and chop him with my blade. That's not normally my first choice. You know, I see a question here about asking me if I'm a Gunpla person, and I'm actually, like, very weirdly not a Gunpla person, which is unusual because people in the mechs usually tend to be Gunpla people. But no, the closest I've ever come is that when I was first really into mechs, I built a, I got action figures for Gundam Wing, the Gundam Wing Endless Waltz suits. So here I am using Blade to murder this guy. This is just faster. This guy will actually shield attacks, and using the Blade allows you to get around the issue of the shield. Because otherwise you would have to have him facing the other way or hit multiple shots to break down his shield. That gives him time to move away. Hitting him with the Blade just kind of makes things go by faster. Good news, we now have G-Third Savior ground attack mode. G-Third Savior ground attack mode is on rollerblades, which is cool as hell. A mobile suit on skates is always sick. We love it. One of the reasons that we love it specifically in this game is that, as you notice, there is no hover bar anymore. I now effectively have infinite hover. Now, technically speaking, the top speed of the rollers is like a little less than G-Third Savior's booster top speed, However, we never have to stop to recharge the hover. And the levels are long enough that it's better to stick to the rollerblades than it is to use the use G-Saviour. I will make a note here though. You might say like, hey, you just kind of stopped attacking people. Why is that? G-Saviour has a very powerful cannon that knocks you back a little bit. So you can see it's a one-shot cannon. That's great, but it blunts your forward momentum a little bit. And so to the extent possible, we want to just go past enemies. You're going to see me kind of do this like side to side slalom. And what I'm doing there is I'm avoiding getting shot in the back. Typically, I'm making an effort to not get just absolutely nailed from behind. So that's part of the reason you're going to see me go back and forth whenever I pass a suit. In the next 2 levels, I'm going to take the time to kill suits just because there's going to be too many and the risk is too high, especially for a marathon setting. But like the ideal routing would be no brakes, all gas, no brakes would be the ideal routing for the G-Saviour ground attack mode. And of course, in situations like the later parts of this level where there's enough space you can just keep your distance from enemies, it works out just fine. Also, the enemy shots, while they do tend to track you well horizontally, do not track well vertically. So on a level like this that has a lot of hills going up and down, the enemy shots are not going to hit me anyway. Whereas, again, the next 3 levels, it's going to be different. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to try sometimes to use enemies to line up shots on things in the background. There it didn't work out. I was trying to hit the gate. But here, anyway, here's a more interesting boss fight. I'm going to go forward into the bowl. And then I'm gonna unhover, turn around, and then so right now this guy can get hit when he's walking sideways or when he goes for a hit. If I hit him when he's moving towards me, then he's going to do that little dodge, but then he'll go right back to that. So it's kind of like, what are you gonna do, buddy? Yeah, it's interesting. Like he does not have a consistent pattern in terms of like when he's ready to make up his mind about, is he going to shoot? Is he not going to shoot? But usually you can get into some sort of rhythm where you can take him out pretty quickly. Also, that was some real 3 FPS gameplay there. You love to see it. All right, so now we're on to so chapter 5 was the introduction of G3 ground attack mode. The most OP suit for sure. We're going to be using that for the rest of the game. And now we're going to get into what I would call like slightly more difficult stages. You're going to see me spending more time shooting enemies in this stage. I think this is supposed to be like the ruins of Angel Halo. Again, that's a Victory Gundam thing. Also, I'm just going the wrong way. So here, because of like the close quarters, it's kind of a combination of like risk of being attacked plus risk of just bumping into enemy. So I'm going to spend some more time destroying enemies here. Here I have a little bit of a problem where I need to destroy this. I also need to destroy that guy. Okay, there's like a weird tunnel here where I need to take care of 2 proximity bombs that will absolutely stun me and do damage to me if I don't take care of them. Oh, wow, that missile, a homing missile managed to follow me like all the way down the hall. That's what knocked me out of hover there. Very weird. All right, so we're through what I would call the hard part. I'm going to go out of my way to kill some of these guys though, again, just for safety, because I don't want them to shoot me in the back. Again, the easiest way to get enemies like this is always just to go at point blank and unload on them. All right, there we go. So now we're going to go probably what I would call the most interesting boss fight in the game, where there's going to be 2 enemies that share a health bar and a giant laser. And we're going to have to navigate around that. It's a good time. Right now, the other half is going to be shooting rockets at me. If you look at the mini-map, you can actually see the projectiles. You saw the edge of the beam there of the explosions. That guy, they're programmed to move in opposite directions, though. Okay, so now we got him. I'm going to go ahead and reorient myself. So the thing with the laser is that I can actually shield the laser. I just have to be facing the right direction. You'll notice me releasing the shield. I take damage when it passes through me, and then we're able to take this guy out. Yeah, you just have to. It's important to have the right position, otherwise the laser will kill you. And no one wants to be killed by the giant laser in the middle of a broken angel halo. All right, on the stage 7, this is going to be a redux of the earlier highway stage, but of course now we have G-Saviour, and now there's also way more enemies. This is probably the first stage where I'm like really truly at risk of just dying, just like having a bad break. I'm gonna try and kill more people so that doesn't happen, but you know, when you're on the highway in Neo Tokyo, there's no guarantees of living or dying. I'm not actually sure what knocked me out there of hover. Again, being in hover is kind of the thing that you want. You want to stay in hover as much as possible. I tend to go for the gold ones. They tend to be very aggressive and accurate compared to the blue ones. There I lined up a shot where I got a proximity bomb in the back while also killing a guy in the front. Some of these potholes are actually things I can't go over. Like I actually do have to walk around them. Gonna line up these. Oh wow, okay, that's that's a new one. Usually I can line up those two, but the guy hooked left instead of right. So I haven't talked much about special attacks in this game so far. This suit has special attacks. There are homing missiles that it can use. Not what I wanted to change targets to. I cannot control my lock on. All right, finally I got a good lock on. I kept going for the turrets. There's no way to like cycle lock on in this game. You just sort of have to accept your fate. All right, good. Got through there deathless. Thank goodness. All right, so a note about this ranged attack can break shields, and so we're no longer afraid of anything. We can just go for them. They're gonna try and shield. They're gonna try and laser or run away. It doesn't matter. We do not afraid anymore because we will always break shields, and so no matter what they do, it just hurts them as long as we can stay close to them and they can't dodge away. So Boogaloo 2, Boogaloo is no more. That's even going to apply to the first two phases of the final boss as well. This is very silly, but it is what it is. All right, on to the final stage. This is going to be a redux of stage 2, but again, more enemies, and now we're using the G-Saviour ground attack mode. We're gonna get a long cutscene here, like this. I can't skip this until it reaches. The camera pulls away from the G-Saviour. It's very strange. I don't know why it's like this, but anyway, now, okay. Thank you, Atelier Sai. Okay. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and try and murder as many as I can. There we go. I got a turret and a dude at the same time. This courtyard area is particularly dicey. Oh no. I might be cooked. All right. So I was trying to get a lock on for one of those guys there, and then I just got battered around. I can maybe, I mean, the bosses are not any trouble, but like I could die here, so we'll see. Don't worry though. All right. Playing a little extra safe. Oh, no. All right. Well. So much. That run was on very good pace, but a death is going to be a problem. We'll try and keep this one extra safe now. I just got a little too greedy with avoiding enemies. But yeah, again, this is just a weird game in that, like, I want to see. Yeah, there we go. That time I was able to hook up the shot. No, I made the same mistake again, or I just got hit in the back. Yeah. All right, I will stop. Stop going for it. This is also like one of the reasons why the estimate is like relatively on the high side, is because in these later missions it is easy to die, and the only checkpoints are at boss fights. So, you know, in this kind of situation, you really can get to the end of the level and then end up having to redo it. Yeah, there we go. Finally got that guy this time. There we go. Much safety, many deaths. What's nice too is because this particular area is, again, vertically inclined, like the hilly area with the snow, a lot of the enemy shots will not track you particularly well, which is usually why I can try and get away with things. Oh, all right. Yeah, you'll notice me like in moving to, you know, line up a series of shots. This is of course what I'm doing. Yep, another twofer. Got two twofers there. All right. We made it now. We were beyond that level. No fear of doing that again. So as I mentioned before, this is going to be kind of the same thing now, where we're going to be able to lock this guy in the corner. This is the boss that killed us in this stage before, but now we have a weapon that breaks shields, and so we can just go ahead and bop him for free because he is not able to break out of this loop. But don't worry, we're going to do it again. Now the battle moves to our ship. We're going to do the same thing. If you're wondering if the third phase of this boss fight is going to be like this, I got great news. It's going to be different. It's going to be there's a thing called the Circus Motion Attack, the SMA. Don't ask questions about that acronym. That I haven't used so far because it is difficult to use and kind of inaccurate. However, it makes you invulnerable, and it also allows you to deal damage behind you. And this is an enemy that chases you. And so what we do is we put ourselves in a corner, and then we use the Circus Motion Attack, and then it kills the boss. That was the final phase. Time will be when this screen disappears. Time. There we go. Folks, that is G-Saviour, PS2. What a video game. What a good time. I can no longer skip cutscenes anymore. I can only skip cutscenes up to the screen, up to the score screen. So, but that game is a treat. There are lots of cool challenge modes you can do with that as well. So, a really good time. Just like a really fun game. It's, again, easy for English speakers to play through. I really recommend it if you like Gundam stuff. It is, you know, I do believe it emulates pretty well as well. So, you know, if that's of interest to you, check it out. If you want to speedrun it, there's a few categories. There's a new game plus category where you can use the G3 ground attack mode for the whole game. You know, again, as I said, there are challenge runs. Like the challenge run for G-Saviour Basic on all hard is very hard, but very, I don't know. I thought it was fun. And I'm not usually the person who goes for that kind of completionist stuff. So the finale song is called Dear Mother. It is, in fact, a song about your mother. I'm completely serious. It's in English. So anyway, this is, obviously part of the tradition of games that have ballads at the end. But yeah, that's it for me. I will be back tomorrow with Deep Space Nine: The Fallen, playing as Worf around the same time tomorrow. So, please enjoy the rest of License-a-thon. Thank you, License-a-thon staff, for having me back again. I think this is like my 3rd or 4th time doing this event. So thank you. And continue to enjoy the marathon today, tomorrow, and Sunday. I will see you in the future.